In the mid-1980s, in the United States, a babysitter named Emily puts the children she is caring for to bed, and Mark tells her that he is afraid of the creature that lives in his closet. Trying to calm him down, the young woman locks the doors with a chair and places the boy's teddy bear on top of it, saying that the toy will protect him if any monsters appear during the night. This reassures Mark a little, and before leaving the room, Emily asks Marina to stay with him until he falls asleep. Although she doesn't feel like helping in that situation, the girl obeys, and now that she is alone, she goes downstairs and turns on loud music throughout the house. Excited, the babysitter dances around the house while drinking some of the soft drinks, and accidentally finds some hidden cigarettes. Without thinking twice, Emily gets ready to light them, but at that moment, she hears the garage door opening and runs to tidy everything up so she won't get fired. Soon after, the babysitter goes to the front door, and noticing the family's delay in entering the house, she decides to check what is happening. However, as soon as she goes to the garage, Emily notices that the vehicle is not there, and the door seems to have been opened by itself. Confused, the young woman walks outside, and suddenly, she sees a vehicle stopped in the middle of the street. Trying to understand what happened, Emily approaches the spot, but halfway there, she comes across the body of an animal on the asphalt. Believing it to be nothing more than an accident, the babysitter returns to the house. As she does so, Emily is surprised by Mark's teddy bear holding a piece of paper in its hands, with a message praising the nanny's appearance. Irritated, the young woman goes to the young man's room to question him about why he did this, but when she arrives in the room, she notices that the boy is already asleep. Emily deduces that it was Marina's prank and goes to talk to her, but the girl replies that she didn't do it. Confused, the nanny returns to Mark's room and is startled to find several family portraits scattered across the hallway. Despite this, Emily goes to the boy's room, only to encounter the bear once again, holding another letter with a romantic message. Before she can remove the toy from the bed, the young woman hears a noise coming from the closet, and without wasting any time, she closes the door. Emily then begins to collect the scattered portraits, but suddenly, one of the doors opens right behind her. Trying to understand what is happening, the young woman goes to the bedroom, but finds nothing. What she doesn't realize is that a mysterious figure runs past her, and believing she heard something strange, the nanny returns to Marina's room. Upon arriving there, Emily realizes that the girl has been tied up with ropes by the intruder, and in a panic, she flees to the living room, where she tries to call the police. However, the wires ended up being cut, and before she could do anything, the young woman came across a video playing on the television, where a masked figure appeared. This sends Emily into shock, and immediately afterwards, the masked intruder appears behind her and eliminates her with his knife. Sometime later, during Halloween week, Dina returns to her hometown after spending years away and is surprised by Chad, one of her former classmates. After giving the girl a big scare, the young man talks to her while recording on his camera, and at that moment Willis appears from inside his van. Realizing that Dina is uncomfortable with her classmate's behavior, the player orders him to leave, and after saying goodbye to him, the young woman goes to the pharmacy, where she picks up some medicine that her father ordered. Nearby, Sheriff Arnold picks up his newspaper on the porch of his house when he comes across a mysterious package that was left for him. Upon opening the package, the man finds a strange mechanism and becomes extremely concerned. Later, Dina goes to Hattie's house, who is excited to finally see her good friend again. So they can talk about everything. The pair sit in the living room, where they drink coffee while talking about the college the young woman is attending. At the same time, the sheriff meets with his partner in the patrol car, and together they head to the house where the nanny and the brothers were eliminated by the intruder. As soon as they arrive at the scene, Arnold discovers that the object he received is nothing less than the garage door opener for the residence, and realizing that the criminal who did those things has returned, they set out to investigate. Soon after, Dina arrives at her family's house, and after being welcomed by her mother, she goes to talk to her father. The problem is that the man is not in a normal state, and after a trauma from his past, he ended up collapsing. Saddened that her father is not responding to any of the news about her college life, Dina goes to the kitchen, where she is comforted by her mother, who tells her that even though he doesn't say anything, she is sure that he is very proud of her. In addition, the woman says that Hattie just called them, saying she needs to talk to her friend immediately. At the police station, Arnold and his partner Butch talk about what just happened, and during the investigation, they are alerted by Dottie, one of the secretaries, that something strange has been going on. The woman explains that she received a strange package at her home, which was addressed to the sheriff, and realizing that the situation is becoming more dangerous, they decide to open the package immediately. Upon doing so, the pair finds a cassette tape with the title, The Night of the Reaper. Without wasting any time, the police watch the tape and discover that it is nothing more than a recording of one of the criminal's victims. In addition to showing his attacks on a dog, the Reaper began to observe a young man who was camping in that place. As soon as he heard a noise around him, the camper went to check it out, and even after finding the animal's body and the video camera, he was unable to locate the criminal. Thanks to this, the villain ends up surprising the young man, stabbing him in the back with a knife and knocking him down instantly. At that moment, Arnold realizes that it is Connor, a young student who disappeared a few years ago and whose body was found in the river. In addition, the sheriff remembers that the young man's case was closed because experts concluded that he lost his life in an accident. Therefore, the police discover that this is a real recording and decide to leave in their patrol car in search of more clues. Meanwhile, Dina calls Hattie, who reveals that she is not feeling well and will not be able to work as a babysitter that night. Desperate, Hattie asks her friend to take care of the sheriff's son in her place, as she trusts the young woman not to lose her job. Although reluctant, Dina agrees to help her and begins to ask what she will need to do at the sheriff's house. In the middle of the road, police officers encounter Officer Liz, a forest ranger, who reveals that she has found the body of another dog, probably hit by a vehicle. The woman explains that accidents involving animals have been on the rise and asks the sheriff to try to get some speed limit signs for that road. At that moment, Arnold thinks about telling her what he knows about Connor's case, but decides to keep it a secret since they don't have many clues yet. So, the pair continue on their way through the forest roads, ending up at the same place where the criminal had eliminated his victim in the past. During the investigation, the police come across another mysterious package, which was left on the riverbank. Back at the police station, Arnold and Butcher discover that the package contained another tape, this time with the recording of the day Emily was attacked. While watching the video, the sheriff manages to see the license plate of one of the vehicles and notices that it is Chad's car. At the same time, Dina arrives at Arnold's house, where she starts talking to Max, who is playing his video game. At the police station, the officers begin questioning Chad, and realizing that the young man is acting defensively, the sheriff gets straight to the point and asks him if he is a possible accomplice in the attack on Emily. Trying to find more clues, Arnold confiscates Chad's camera, but when they look at the recorded content, they find nothing of interest and are disappointed. Meanwhile, Max gives Dina a tour of his house, and after passing through the basement and the altar created for the family's deceased wife, the boy shows his room to the nanny. Soon after, the pair play hide and seek around the house, but suddenly, the young woman hears a howl coming from outside and goes to check what it was. When she does, Dina comes across a sinister figure watching her from afar and asks Max if he is inside the house. The young man quickly replies that he is, and as soon as she looks outside again, the nanny realizes that the silhouette is no longer there. Soon after, the phone starts ringing, and when Dina answers, she discovers that it is Arnold, who called to find out how his son is doing. Trying to keep the situation under control, the young woman says that everything is fine, and the sheriff thanks her for her help. After that, Dina goes to watch a movie with Max, while Arnold continues to question Chad, but he gets no information and gives up on the questions. In order to find any possible clue, the man begins to accuse the young man, but he is not intimidated and says he will sue them all for not respecting his rights. Determined to solve the case, the sheriff leaves the interrogation room, but before his superior can do anything stupid, Butch tries to calm him down, saying they can't keep pressuring Chad without any concrete evidence. Outraged, Arnold replies that this is not a normal situation and reminds his partner that the town's young people are in danger and that the criminal is handing out clues on a silver platter to humiliate the authorities. However, Butch replies that they cannot act aggressively and explains that they will already have a hard time accessing Connor and Emily's archived cases. In addition, the man says that his friend doesn't look well and that he should go home to get some rest. Despite all these arguments, Arnold doesn't care, and realizing that he will have to do his investigation alone, he leaves. At the sheriff's house, Dina approaches the window, and upon hearing a dog bark, she grabs her flashlight to check what happened. As she does so, the young woman comes across the body of a dog in the bushes, and at that moment, the front door of the house moves abruptly. Frightened, Dina returns inside the house, and believing she is safe, she feels relieved and locks the door. Far away, the sheriff arrives at a residential building in search of Willis, Chad's friend, and taking advantage of the fact that one of the residents has just left, he holds the door open and manages to break in. As soon as he reaches the college student's apartment, Arnold is confronted with a dark living room filled with bottles of alcohol. In addition, the man finds a dog collar on one of the tables, and at that moment, he hears a noise coming from the door. Upon checking the source of the sound, the sheriff reaches Willis's bedroom and is furious to find another Night of the Reaper themed tape. Soon after, the college student appears in the apartment, and without thinking twice, Arnold punches him in the face and handcuffs him while accusing him of being responsible for attacking Emily. At the sheriff's house, Dina contacts the authorities to remove the animal's body, and after the call, she hears something being dragged on the second floor. She quickly goes to check what is happening, and when she opens the boy's bedroom door, she hears a scream coming from downstairs. However, the sound was just a movie on television, and after turning it off, the college student calls Hattie. While they talk, Dina vents about how scared she is, but Hattie replies that she has been through the same thing, so she doesn't need to worry. At that moment, the woman hears her doorbell ringing and says she will return the call as soon as possible. Now that she is alone again, Dina is frightened, and as she walks through the house, she hears the basement door suddenly open. Despite being extremely frightened, the nanny decides to go downstairs to check. When she does so, Dina comes across the wedding dress of Arnold's late wife, and in a state of panic, she runs away. In a panic, she tries to call Hattie again, but her friend doesn't answer, which only makes her even more worried. Soon after, the college student runs to check if Max is the one behind all this, but the young man is still asleep, and she gives up on confronting him. However, before she can go downstairs, Dina hears another door opening in the hallway, but when she checks the room, she finds nothing. During her search for the possible intruder, the babysitter hears another noise in the hallway, and when she checks what it was, she comes across a newspaper page in front of the portrait of Max's mother, displaying the news of the accident in which the woman perished. Realizing she is in danger, Dina tries to go downstairs to escape, but at that moment, she hears glass breaking, and even though she is scared, she decides to investigate. That room is none other than the sheriff's bedroom, and upon entering, the babysitter comes across a huge mural containing all the clues and information about the Reaper case. At that moment, Dina hears footsteps of someone running through the house, and rushes to the phone, managing to call the police. At the police station, Arnold shows up with Willis in handcuffs and orders Butch to put him in custody while he watches the tape. What he didn't expect was that it was a recording of his late wife's accident, and he discovers that she didn't lose her life in the crash, but rather at the hands of the Grim Reaper himself, who slammed her head against the steering wheel. This discovery leaves Arnold in a state of rage, but when he confronts Willis about the tape, the young man says that he didn't record it, but only received it in a package. In addition, the college student explains that he was ordered to deliver the tape to the sheriff, but before he could find out who had said that, Arnold is alerted by Butch that they have just received an emergency call. In a few seconds, all the officers get into their cars and head to the location where they heard a bomb had been planted. The problem is that this was just a distraction, and when they arrive at the location, the police find nothing and quickly decide to alert the sheriff. At the same time, the Reaper infiltrates Max's room, who is about to be eliminated. However, the criminal hears Dina calling the police and goes out to attack her. What he didn't realize was that the young woman had recorded her voice on a tape recorder, and when he turns around, he is surprised by the nanny, who hits him with her taser. Minutes later, the criminal wakes up tied to a chair, and right in front of him, the television shows the recording he made when he decided to attack Emily. Soon after, Dina appears in the same Reaper costume and says she already knows who he is, as she has been observing his behavior for a long time. At that moment, it is revealed that the Reaper is none other than Elizabeth, the forest ranger. The college student then says that she planned everything that happened from the beginning, since she mixed Hattie's coffee with some medicine so that she would not be healthy enough to take care of Max that night. In addition, Dina made the boy take a kind of tranquilizer, and as soon as he was unconscious, she asked Willis to take him to Hattie's house, where he would be safe. To avoid raising suspicion, she used the mannequin in the basement as a distraction, so that Liz would believe Max was still in her room. Finally, Dina reveals that she set it all up so that Liz would believe she could be her next victim in her horror movie series, and was even responsible for the false bomb threat at the town store. With her plan perfectly executed, the young woman taunts the woman, and despite being sedated, she tries to move around the house in search of some improvised weapon. In doing so, Liz comes across a photograph of Connor, which was placed on the refrigerator along with a message saying that the young man had come to witness the woman's demise. In a panic, the deranged woman continues to walk around the house, where Dina's messages have been scattered everywhere. After climbing the stairs, the woman tries to find a way to escape, and when she reaches the sheriff's bedroom, she picks up a piece of broken glass to use as a weapon. Soon after, Dina begins to communicate with the criminal using Max's walkie-talkie and forces her victim to search for her. When she sees the light of a flashlight outside the residence, Liz prepares to leave, while the college student watches her with her new appearance. As soon as she reaches the source of the light, the criminal realizes that she has fallen into a trap, where dozens of Halloween dolls are scattered around the surrounding trees. At that moment, Dina reveals herself among the dolls and shoots the woman in the leg with her shotgun. After that, the college student approaches to finish Liz off, telling her that she destroyed her life after taking Emily's life. At that moment, it is revealed that Dina was Emily's sister, and as revenge for everything her family went through, she prepares to eliminate her. However, the young woman is surprised by Chad, who hits her on the head, causing her to fall to the ground, powerless. Now that she has been saved by her accomplice, Liz carries Dina's body toward the residence, and Chad tries to tend to her injuries while the woman mocks her opponent's attempt at revenge. Despite being knocked down and powerless, the college student mocks the pair, saying that even though they believe they have won, they are not in control of anything. As soon as she says this, Dina receives a call from Willis on her radio, and outraged that his enemy has involved the young man in all this, Chad grabs the radio and prepares to answer the call. However, this is just another trap set by the young woman, and as soon as he turns on the radio, Chad's head is blown up by the device, causing his body to fall to the ground. The shockwave knocks both women down, and in a state of rage, Liz runs to attack Dina. Minutes later, she wakes up tied to a chair, and to finish her evil plan once and for all, the criminal begins to attack Liz, slashing her legs with a knife while she watches the recording of the attack on Emily. However, before she is eliminated, Dina says that Liz has forgotten something, and tells her that her sister was not the only person she should not have attacked. In a rage, the woman tries to finish off her victim, but at that moment, she is shot by Arnold, and to calm him down, Dina shouts that Max is now safe. Now that he has finally found the person responsible for eliminating his wife, the sheriff wastes no time, and before Liz can reach for her knife, he shoots her and puts an end to the criminal. With the situation under control, Arnold asks Dina why she did everything she did and sent him those tapes. The college student replies that neither of them deserved to lose the people they loved so much, and for that reason, she decided to devise a plan to destroy Liz's life. Despite this, Arnold admits that they will need to tell the authorities everything that happened, but Dina begs him not to, saying that the criminal does not deserve to end the lives of 2 more people. Upon hearing this, the sheriff changes his mind, and in a few seconds, the pair come up with a perfect plan to fake Liz's disappearance, along with a fake crime at the forest ranger's house, where the police will find Chad's body. This will allow the legend of the Reaper to finally be put to rest, and with the cases closed and filed away, Arnold and Dina will be able to move on with their lives, knowing that they have honored the families they once promised to avenge. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.